Hello, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with some introductions, but first I would like to thank you all for coming, and also to let you know that we will be sharing out the slides with UT for me, so everything that you see will be shared out. And I also want to point out that we've brought some handouts for some of the topics that we're going to talk about. For example, there's a credit checklist, there's an explore checklist, and there's a small flyer talking about our upcoming Gilman events. So I'll start with introductions. My name is Erin Brown Ochterhoff. I'm in the College of Natural Science cluster within Education Abroad, and I'm also the chair of the Scholarship Committee. And we're joined today by our scholarship coordinators, assistant director, and program coordinators to talk about some of the opportunities to go abroad in terms of the different types of programs, and then some of the different scholarship opportunities that we encourage you all to look into and to apply for. So I'll turn it over to my colleague, Kat, to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kat McGovern. I'm a program coordinator at Education Abroad, mostly working with Spain and the Nordic countries. Nice to meet you all.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Kalutis. I'm an assistant director with experiential learning with Texas Global Education Abroad. So if you have questions about interning abroad or service learning abroad, I'll be happy to answer those questions for you later.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gabby Purchase. I'm the Assistant Scholarship Coordinator for Texas Global. So if you have any questions about Education Abroad scholarships, feel free to let me know. Thanks for being here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Humphrey. I'm the Scholarship Coordinator and Development Specialist for Texas Global. I work with Gabby doing Education Abroad scholarships, and we also do scholarships for international students.
Hello, I'm Daniel Ock. I am also one of our assistant directors for Education Abroad with Texas Global. I work a lot with our exchange programs and affiliate programs. We'll actually get into a little bit about what that means. And also work with some of our program coordinators who oversee a lot of different study abroad programs. So I think I'm gonna keep going with this. So this is kind of our roadmap for the session today. I'm going to give a little bit of an overview about, hey, what does education abroad mean? What does it look like? Why is it beneficial? Why are you even here looking into it? We'll talk about some of our program types, just so that there's kind of a shared language and shared understanding about what the program opportunities are for you. And then I'll turn it over to my colleagues to talk about scholarships and next steps. All right. So let me just talk a little bit about kind of some of the big misconceptions about study abroad. What have you heard about studying abroad? I do want to ask a little bit, if y'all can engage with me, I'm going to ask y'all some questions. So just to kind of engage with you a little bit. What have you heard about study abroad? What's sort of been a barrier for you, or a perceived barrier for participating? What do y'all think? Yeah. Okay, yeah, finances, money. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes I hear this from students, like, it's too expensive. Yeah. What else? Okay, yeah, so maybe we can say broadly, like, support, resources. Will I know the language? What will that be like, learning in a different language? Will I be with friends? Will I be with people who are like maybe more familiar with how do I communicate with them, right? Am I going to be away from family or friends, right? That sort of stuff. And what else? Another big one we hear a lot is, well, am I going to get credit? Like, If I go abroad, take some courses, is that actually going to help me work towards degree progress, right? So some of you have real concerns with studying abroad. And Mac, I'm useless. 1 second. No. Sliding up. Anyway, I'm just going to wing it. So, all right, myth or fact? You mentioned some of these. Studying abroad delays graduation, or maybe it's difficult obtaining credit. Maybe it can only provide generic credits, right? Is that a myth or is it a fact? Costs too much. Someone mentioned that. I can't get flag or core requirements, things that I know are necessary for my degree. It requires knowing a foreign language. Or it isn't relevant to my career goals, right? Ultimately, what do I want to do in my field? How do I want to apply my degree? And maybe it's not possible with financial aid. So all of these things, with planning, with proper planning, are all myths. One of our former directors actually did her PhD, her dissertation, on this very issue. Like, hey, how likely is it that students will graduate in 4 years if they study abroad? And she actually found, and she researched here at UT with students here, she actually found that students who went abroad were more likely to graduate in 4 years. And one of the key components of that was planning. They were much more aware of their degree requirements. They were more aware of the resources that were available to them. And so they were more likely to graduate within 4 years. So it was a really interesting finding. Now, within these, some of the big questions fall into two big buckets. Time, is it going to delay my graduation? Am I going to finish in 4 years? Or money, all right? Time and money. And if you really want to boil it down, time is money sometimes, right? So let's focus first on kind of one of the big questions, and that's cost, okay? So when deciding to study abroad, students often think about how much the program might cost, but it's important not to think about the program's cost as sort of like a price tag, right? What we need to think about is what's the real cost, okay? Because when you study at UT, you have cost of studying here. There's a cost of attendance. There's a cost for your education, right? I'm going to ask y'all again, okay? How much do you think it costs to study at UT for a semester? I'm going to hide this again, okay? How much does it cost to study at UT for a semester? Any guesses? Yeah, Around $15,000? Yeah. Did you see the slide? I love it. You're paying attention. This is great. Okay, yeah, around $15,000. That's what UT says. Hey, and what comprises that amount? What's included in that? Yeah. Tuition, yeah. Room and board. What else? What else do you have to pay for? Your meal plan. Yeah, some meals, yep. Food. Yeah, books. What else? Transportation. Transportation costs are included in there. All right, cost of living, some personal items that you need as you go through. All right, so all of that stuff is included in the cost of attendance. So they estimate $15,000, and that's in residence, right? That's if you're an in-residence student paying tuition. Tuition, of course, can vary a little bit by the college that you're in, right? So that's the number that you need to keep in your mind, okay? Because whenever you look at, hey, how much will it cost to go on this program? All of our programs have an estimated budget. And that budget comprises all of the components that studying at UT does, right? So There's your tuition or the cost of the program. There's your transportation. There's meals. There's housing, right? There's airfare. All of that is included in this estimated budget, okay? So what you need to think about is, hey, not how much is this going to cost, but what's the difference between studying abroad and studying at UT? The difference is what we call the real cost, okay? So here's one example. This is a program in South Korea, or Korea University. So your tuition's going to stay the same, tuition rate. There's a registration fee for UT, there's an application fee. But one of the biggest factors in the cost of a program abroad is the cost of living. And surprise, there's lots of places in the world cheaper than Austin, Texas. Okay? So how much does it cost to pay for rent? How much does food cost, right? That's going to be one of the biggest factors. So, and all of that is usually estimated costs, right? Just like you budget for your own, you pay for your own rent sometimes, you budget for that month to month, just like you pay for your own food costs, right? Some of you maybe have your own coffee budget, right? So all of that you're budgeting on your own. You'll do the same thing when you go abroad, right? And so these are estimates. You can also manage the costs, manage what you pay for your meals and your rent, depending on what you find and how much you want to spend, right? Like here, do you tend to eat out every night, or do you buy food and prepare it on your own, right? Those are a lot of ways here you can manage your costs. You can do the same thing when you go abroad. But also food can also just be less when you go abroad. So using this one as an example here, estimated costs for all this program, including airfare, including visa and passport costs, is around $14,000, right? So this actually ends up being cheaper than staying here at UT for a semester. There are a lot of other programs that aren't necessarily like this one, or a little bit more affordable than UT. Some of them are around the same as the cost of studying at UT for a semester, and plus maybe the price of an airplane ticket. Okay? So we wanted to point that out. I also wanted to point out that this experience has been very important for a lot of students. There was a poll that was done several years ago. They polled all UT alumni who had this sort of experience. They went abroad. And they said over 85% of those students who studied abroad, UT alumni, they said that studying abroad, out of all of their experiences across campus, whether it's student leadership or other organizations or whatever, that study abroad was more impactful to their postgraduate success. And that makes sense, because when you think about the things that you can gain from studying abroad, it's not just about learning a language. It's expanding your network, meeting new people, finding new opportunities for internships, or at least making connections that might turn into internships or job offerings in the future, right? But you're also really learning a lot inside and outside of the classroom, right? And how you engage with people across cultural difference and commonality. How you're learning about yourself and how you make sense of the world, right? What we call cultural competence, right? There's lots of things that you learn simply from this experience, or have the opportunity and the possibility to learn. So there's lots of things that you can take from this experience to improve and apply, not just for your personal life, and not just for your career, but also in your classrooms, right? So there's and in your community. All right. So at this point, we'll talk more about financial aid in a little bit. I'm going to go real briefly into our types of programs. So we have, broadly speaking, 3 different types of programs. There are also some special programs that I'll briefly highlight. So the first one that I'll talk about is called an exchange. An exchange is an agreement that we have with a university in another country. And what it looks like is you'll register for these placeholder courses here at UT, and then you go and you sign up for classes at that university. You'll take classes just like a regular student, right? Just like you came here, you chose classes, you decided how you wanted to be involved on the campus, you found places to get involved in organizations and clubs and things like that, you made friends. You'll do that, you'll have a similar sort of experience when you go abroad. Practically what it looks like is you're going to continue to pay UT tuition, your regular UT tuition rate, and the courses that you take will come back, take the place of those placeholder courses, and it looks for all intents and purposes like you took a class here at UT. So it factors into your GPA, counts as in residence credit. We have over 120 different exchange programs in almost every continent. No universities in Antarctica, unfortunately, but all the other continents, yes. The next program type are affiliates. Affiliates are third-party providers. So they could be companies, they look a bunch of different ways. It could be a for-profit or non-profit. It could be a university that has its own study abroad program set up and you're kind of directly enrolling into that university. They look a bunch of different ways, but practically what it looks like is you're not paying UT tuition. Instead, you're paying a program fee directly to that provider. And then the grades, when it comes back from the courses you take, they'll post. The grades will still post, but as long as it's a C- or higher. And it'll look kind of like transfer credit. All right? Lastly, the main type of program we have are called faculty-led programs. These are pretty straightforward. It's a UT professor teaching a UT course on destination. So you know exactly the course that you're signing up for. You know it'll apply the grade just like you take a class here at UT, and you'll know who the professor is. So they feel a little bit more straightforward. You'll also be going with a cohort of other UT students. So instead of having maybe a more flexible or in some ways immersive experience on an exchange or an affiliate program, faculty-led programs are with a cohort, have some more structure, and they tend to be more short-term. So they can be a May term program that happened just after the end of the long semester in May, or they could be a summer program, either for the first session, the second session, or maybe both. All right, internships. You can do an internship on any type of program. So there are faculty-driven internships, what we call Global Career Launch. There are internships on exchanges. There are internships on affiliate programs. You can also do internships that are not for credit, but are through some of our vetted providers that are international full-time internships. So we do have some, do you want to talk about this slide? No? Okay. All right, so we do have some experiential learning programs or some special ones that you may be interested in, you can look into. Engineering and social work students, we have something called Projects with Underserved Communities. So this is a longer term project. You will basically plan out and then go to a country and implement your project over the course of 1.5 to 2 years. We have the President's Award for Global Learning, which is working in small teams doing research in countries with professors. There's Global Career Launch that I mentioned, which are faculty kind of connecting you with internships in places all over the world. And there is a scholarship that's specifically for this that you're eligible for if you participate on a GCL. Here are some of the opportunities for this year. You can just kind of look through this. There's, like I mentioned, there's Australia. Here's some in South America, some in Europe, Latin America, and Asia. So all over the place. Here's a short summary. This might be a good thing if you want to just take a screenshot. Again, the slides will be available to you, but this kind of shows, hey, types of programs. There are short-term programs for exchanges, affiliates, faculty-led are short-term. There are talking about financial aid. Financial aid is applicable to all program types. Okay, so whatever program you're going on, your financial aid travels with you. The one exception some exceptions to this are tuition benefits, so like a UT tuition grant. Those are for tuition, and so to maximize that benefit, you would want to consider something where you are actually paying tuition. And you remember, those are the exchange programs and then faculty-led. Okay? Remember, on an affiliate program, you're not paying tuition. But we also have scholarships that are that you're eligible to apply for, and you're only eligible for these if you're going on some of our programs abroad, right? So these are scholarships that you don't have access to if you stay here at UT, and those scholarships, by applying to those, getting awarded, can help offset some of the loans that you might otherwise have to take out in your regular financial aid package. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mary, and she'll talk more about the scholarships and the process in depth. All right.
Okay, hi everyone. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our education abroad scholarships. Overall, we award $2.3 million to students every year for ISSS, our International Student Scholarships, and our Education Abroad scholarships. And we offer scholarships every semester that students study abroad. So whether that's the fall, the spring, the summer, or during May term, we do have scholarship competitions running for those semesters, or for that term specifically. And then we also have specific criteria for our scholarships when we're running them. So that might be based off of location and where you're studying. That could also be dependent on academic merit, GPAs, and also financial needs. So it's going to depend for all of our scholarships. They all have very unique criteria. Right now, we are running scholarships for summer 2024 and fall 2024. So when you're applying to programs through Education Abroad, please keep in mind that you should reach out to your program coordinator to learn more about what scholarships might be available. They can connect you with our team, and they can also fill you in on other scholarship opportunities. Our scholarship applications run at the same time students are applying to programs, so it's really important to be thinking about scholarships for Education Abroad opportunities when you're also applying to your Education Abroad opportunities. So right now for summer 2024, we're running scholarships on our platform called Global Assist. This is Texas Global's homegrown platform for scholarship applications. We, again, are using this for summer 2024, and this is actually going to be the last semester that we use Global Assist, and we will be moving to LASSO. Has anyone heard about LASSO? Okay, cool. Well, I'm excited to tell you all about this today. So LASSO stands for the Longhorn Awards and Student Scholarship Opportunities. And so LASSO is UT Austin's new scholarship platform, which is being implemented at a university-wide level here. So all colleges, schools, units have been invited to share their scholarship information on LASSO to run scholarship competitions that way. It was just launched a couple weeks ago, so it's kind of a slow roll out to uploading scholarship applications and getting everyone acclimated. But this is going to be a great platform where you all can learn about Education Abroad scholarships, but you can also learn about scholarships in your college or school. So whether that's in Cockrell or McCombs or COLA, wherever you might be, I would check this out to see what scholarships are available to you for upcoming academic years or the summer, etc. But our fall 2024 applications for study abroad are being run on LASSO right now. So that is a little confusing. So just keep in mind, like summer 2024, our applications are being run on Global Assist, and fall 2024, our scholarships are being run on LASSO. Any semesters after fall 2024 are going to be continued on LASSO. And I think that's it. If you are applying for summer 2024 study abroad, please note that our scholarships close on February 1st at 11:59 p.m. So if you're planning to study abroad this summer, make sure to get in those scholarship applications. We'll give you our email at the end to provide you some more information. But I'm rambling. Gabby, would you like to take it away? Okay, cool.
Alrighty, thank you, Mary. So I'd like to give you all a brief snapshot of some of the scholarships that we're offering right now, and then some that we're going to touch on a little bit later in the presentation. So for general study abroad support, we highly recommend looking into the International Education Fee Scholarship. This is a very general scholarship that has very lenient eligibility, so there's no GPA minimum, and it's for any international activity. So whether that's studying abroad or doing an international internship or doing international research or independent study and research abroad, that's all applicable to the international education fee. So it's also not restricted to any location. So whether you're going to Spain or Japan or Chile, that's all applicable under the scholarship. So awards for that scholarship range from $1,200 to $1,800. So that's our number one recommendation when you're interested in studying abroad, since it's so general. Next up is the Merriman Revelle Creative Excellence Scholarship. This is also a very general scholarship for students who are maybe interested in like more non-traditional locations like Spain or Italy, France. But one of the caveats to this scholarship is you need to be prepared to work with the Texas Global Marketing and Communications team. So to, take photos and maybe record videos that will later be used by Texas Global, for marketing and presentations like these. Next, we have the Anna and Victor Ivanauskas Scholarship. This is another general scholarship just for the summer, but the locations that you can use it on are very lenient as well. So it's pretty comparable to the International Education Fee Scholarship. The only thing is it's only available for the summer. So if you are planning on studying abroad in the summer, I'd check that one out as well. We also offer regional or program-specific scholarships, one of which being the Freeman Scholars Internship Stipend, which we'll touch on a little bit later. And then we work very closely with a lot of different federal and national scholarships that we'll touch on as well. And just to echo what Mary mentioned, the deadline for summer 2024 scholarships is going to be February 1st at 11:59, and that's going to be on our platform Global Assist. Anything after that will be on LASSO. Fall 2024 scholarships are going to close on April 1st at 11:59. And then we haven't opened spring 2025 scholarships just yet, but when they do open, they will be on LASSO. All right, moving on to the Freeman Scholars Internship Stipend. So this is a internship stipend specifically for students who are participating in an internship of at least 6 weeks in one of the listed countries here. So you must be a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident to apply. You must be a degree-seeking undergraduate or graduate student here at UT Austin. And again, there's that internship component that you have to complete, and then there is a restriction on the locations as well. Some other considerations to note is that the internship must be in person. It can't be a virtual or a remote internship. It needs to be on site in one of those countries. And once you return, you must complete a service project to share your experience with students who are on campus. But I highly recommend checking out the Texas Global Scholarships website. There is a page dedicated to Freeman that has a little more information on the eligibility, how to apply, what to expect, etc. Yes, the Freeman Award ranges from, I believe, $2,500 up to $6,500. So it's one of our larger awards, and if you're not sure where you want to study abroad or intern abroad yet, this might be a good motivator to get you to look into locations and internships in some of those countries. And with that, I will turn it over to Erin to talk a little bit more about the Gilman and some next steps.
Thank you very much, Gabby. So Gabby talked about scholarships that are internal to UT. I'm going to talk about a national scholarship called the Gilman Scholarship, which is external. So to be eligible for the Gilman Scholarship, you must be a U.S. citizen, you must be an undergraduate in good standing, and you must be receiving a federal Pell Grant during the time of application, or provide proof that you will be receiving a Pell Grant during the term of your study abroad program, and you must apply for a credit-bearing study abroad program. With the Gilman Scholarship, there's two application cycles. There's the March cycle, which I'll be talking a little bit more about, but there's also the October cycle. Now, UT is one of the top producing institutions for a large institution in the country, so we highly encourage all of you to consider applying for the Gilman Scholarship. And on the next slide, I'll kind of outline the timeline. The March cycle is coming up, and so our office will be having several events in February to promote the Gilman Scholarship and also to walk through the process in our info sessions, and we will be having a writing workshop and an experience panel. So the upcoming March application is due March 7th. It's actually open now for any interested students, and this application cycle encompasses programs that begin May 2024 all the way until April 2025. So if you are thinking about going abroad perhaps for a semester next spring, I actually would encourage you to apply for the Gilman Scholarship now. A misconception that students might have is that they need to be accepted into their program and then they can apply for the Gilman Scholarship. But actually, in the Gilman Scholarship, you indicate your program information for the program that you intend to participate in. And Gilman understands that sometimes some programs across different institutions are competitive. And so I encourage you to apply to the earliest application cycle that you can. Because, for instance, if you are thinking of going abroad next spring and you apply for the March application deadline this time, if you are not a recipient, you could try again potentially during the October cycle. There's no limit to how many times you can apply for the Gilman Scholarship, but you can only be a recipient of the scholarship once as an undergraduate student. And so that's why I encourage students to consider looking at the application timelines and apply as early as possible. Just because if you time it, you could potentially give yourself more than one try. Now, with the applications, it is a two-part process. So there's the student application. You're going to enter in your information about the program that you intend to participate in. So you do need to do a little bit of research and look on the program pages, which are available through the Education Abroad website. And then you also need to provide an unofficial transcript. And then you would select your advisor. So you would select the program coordinator, who's going to be listed on the program page. And then for the financial advisor, UT for Me students typically select Willow as the financial advisor. Now, I want to make it very clear, the Gilman Scholarship is very essay heavy. Most scholarships are a combination of financial need as well as merit. And the way that Gilman reviews its applications is they will review the general application of the applicant. A reader can take a look at the transcripts, but how they're really going to get to know you is your essays. This is a very essay-heavy scholarship. So I'll actually be going through some of the essays to kind of talk that through. And then the second part of the process is that your program coordinator is going to certify the information that you have put about your program is correct, and the financial aid advisor is also going to certify that the information you've entered into your Gilman application is correct. Now, because Gilman is a national scholarship competition, Gilman has its own portal that you would apply through. And you would upload your transcript, and then you would also provide your essays into that portal. And so we're going to do a deep dive in the upcoming Gilman info sessions that we will be having in February, but I do want to touch upon the essays and kind of set expectations for what the Gilman entails, and I certainly hope you will all consider joining us for one of our Gilman events, either to hear from program coordinators or to hear from Gilman alumni who have previously applied and received the award. I think in particular hearing from students who have applied for the Gilman and gone abroad and can speak to that process is very meaningful. Now, I'm going to go ahead and talk through some of the essays. I do want to kind of keep an eye on time because I want to leave some room for questions. But for context, I was a national reader in 2020. So what Gilman does is before each application cycle, it sends a call out to international educators to volunteer to serve on a selection panel. And so what that means is when I entered in my information and that I was interested, I was then assigned an applicant pool of about 60 students who are applying for the Gilman. And I read all of their essays. None of them were from UT. They typically choose essays outside of your state or region. And basically, I would evaluate their essays, and then I would rank how well they address the prompts. And then myself and another panelist who read for the same pool compared our scores, and in some ways we fought for our favorites. So I say all this to try to explain the context of the Gilman. The Gilman is through IIE, and it's through the State Department. So it has that lens of diplomacy, and it is also a national scholarship competition. So if you apply for the Gilman and you submit your essays, whoever reads your essays will not be from UT. It likely will not be from Texas. And a lot of questions come up about how do the readers evaluate? They evaluate the essays by how well you address the prompts, which are on the Gilman website. And so this first essay is the statement of purpose. In some ways, that is almost your personal pitch to the reader, as well as in some ways the Department of State, to invest in you and the program that you have chosen and your academic and professional goals. And so here are the prompts. It's also on the Gilman website. But the essays are the main ways that the panelists are going to get to know you. So, and you will find, and we talk about this in the info session, that the challenge with the essays, and it requires time and research, is to be as detailed as possible while addressing all of the essay prompts. 7,000 characters sounds like a lot until you actually get writing, and then it's about a page and a half to answer all of these questions in a very detailed manner. And so that's the challenge that we try to walk through in the info sessions. How does one go into detail while having a limited space? And remember, this is a national portal, so you do want to spend some time before you enter in your essay into the application portal. So this first essay is called the Statement of Purpose. That's 7,000 characters. That is the longest essay. And this is also why we encourage students to come not just to the info sessions, but also we will be having a writing workshop February 23rd in the afternoon to get feedback on their essays. And I encourage all of you to apply for the Gilman and get feedback from your peers or people you know in your essays. The second essay, and this is new as of 2022, is the Community Impact Essay. And this goes to this idea of diplomacy, that idea that Gilman, and this is a prestigious national scholarship, so Gilman recipients are representing their communities as well as the United States when they are studying abroad. And so this essay kind of speaks to how will you be a citizen diplomat when you are on your education abroad program. Third essay is the follow-on service proposal. So Gilman wants to see that multiplier effect, not just that you are representing Gilman and UT and the United States when you're abroad in your program, but also Gilman wants to see that once you return, you will inspire others to go abroad and to apply for the Gilman. And so that is really what the follow-on service project is. In this essay, you will outline how you intend to inspire others to go abroad and apply for the Gilman. So you'll need to do some research. Think about your target audience. Think about how could you specifically promote Gilman? How could you incorporate perhaps elements of your study abroad experience into your follow-on service project? Now, 3,000 characters sounds like a lot, but Gilman wants to see that you have really thought through a plan of how you're going to have that multiplier effect to encourage others to go abroad. Now, there's also the Critical Need Language Award. This is an additional essay for students who are studying a critical need language while abroad in a country in which that language is predominantly spoken. So not every student who applies for the Gilman is necessarily going to meet this criteria. But it is an optional essay if you find that your program is in a country in which one of these languages listed on the slide is predominantly taught. I know with the contrast it's not quite clear, but again, the slides will be shared out. And this is also on the Gilman website as well. And then there's a new initiative for the optional STEM supplemental essay. This is new. It's also one of the shortest essays. This is for students whose program incorporates some kind of research component, because Gilman wants to encourage a plurality of students going abroad, and they've started to focus more on STEM fields with this new initiative. Again, this is an optional essay. Most students traditionally will just complete the 3 essays, but I do want to point out there are some optional essays for an additional award. Typically, the Gilman Award ranges from $1,500 to $5,000. It can vary. It depends on your program and the strength of your application as well as the applicant pool. This supplemental award, I believe, is for $1,000 on top of that. So I encourage all of you to apply for the Gilman. It is an amazing opportunity. It's also a resume builder, and it also comes with it some benefits and also that kind of network of Gilman recipients. Now, we've highlighted some of the different program types and some of the different scholarship opportunities. I want to kind of just walk through some resources to point you to as you're thinking about some of these programs and scholarships. So I mentioned that there will be several Gilman events. So we're going to have 2 info sessions to talk in greater detail. I kind of went on a short version of all the essays, but during the info sessions we go through the application and the essays in much greater detail. Both info sessions are over Zoom, and we typically record both sessions and then we post on the website the best version of the recording. I also want to point out that if you're looking for more of a connection in person, I want to encourage all of you to attend the writing workshop. That's going to be February 23rd. You're welcome to come at all stages of your essay. You can be brainstorming, you can have a polished draft, all are welcome. And we send a call out to Gilman recipients to ask if they want to volunteer for the writing workshop. So that's also a great opportunity, not just to get feedback, but to potentially hear back from a Gilman recipient. And then this year we are also having a new initiative of the Gilman Experience Panel, in which we're sending a call out to Gilman recipients to ask about their experience applying for the Gilman and going abroad. Now for that one, an RSVP is going to be required, but it's going to be posted on our events page, so more information to come. But these are great opportunities to hear from other students, to learn more about the Gilman in greater detail, and also for the writing workshop to get feedback as well. And I want to make it quite clear, the deadline to apply for the Gilman is March 7th. The application is open now, so I encourage all of you, especially if you're thinking of going abroad this summer, in the fall, or even next spring, to apply for this application cycle. And then I want to point out some of the resources that we've kind of touched upon and talked about. So Mary mentioned that Global Assist is a valuable resource if you're thinking about applying for scholarships up to summer 2024, which is this summer. And then after that, LASSO will be the resource if you're looking for what scholarships you could apply for. There's also on our website more information on our funding resource page. It also links to, we have a Gilman page as well, which all of the events will be posted that I described. And then also, if you're at the point where you're just starting to think about going abroad, but you're not quite sure what kind of program you might be interested in, I recommend talk to one of our peer advisors. They're very knowledgeable. They've been abroad. They can speak to their experience. And if you're just starting out and you're not quite sure what to do next, that can be a really valuable conversation. And then for those of you who are going to apply for the Gilman, I encourage you not just to attend our Gilman events, but also to consider utilizing the UT Writing Center on campus. And then you are also welcome to reach out to us with specific questions. We do have specific emails depending on what kind of question you have, but also these slides will be shared out. And I do want to, at this point, just encourage you to also utilize the resources you have on campus. So if you're interested in going abroad, as Daniel mentioned, planning is key. So we recommend across all programs, no matter what kind of program you are interested in, we encourage everyone to talk to their academic advisor to see how education abroad can fit into their degree plan. And then we encourage everyone to regularly check our events page on the Education Abroad website through Texas Global. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to questions. You can apply to the Gilman program. The way it's worded is the program that you intend to participate on. And Gilman's flexible. They understand sometimes across institutions, education abroad looks a little different, programs look a little bit different, sometimes plans have to change. So if you were a recipient, you could work with Gilman to change your program or potentially defer to a different semester.
I don't know if I missed it or you went over it, but when do the recipients know if they obtained the Gilman Scholarship?
That's a great question. So it can vary a little bit, and I think it varies based on the applicant pool, because remember, it's a national scholarship. So the October cycle historically has been slightly smaller than the March cycle. Typically for the October cycle, recipients will hear if they are awarded or not sometime usually in December. For the March cycle, we've seen a little bit more variation. Typically, it's April, but last year it kind of went into very late April, early May, and I think that's because it was a large application pool. Correct. So in the Gilman timeline, and this is also on Gilman's website, so the current March application cycle is for any program starting May 1st, 2024, all the way until April 2025. So potentially if you were thinking of going abroad spring semester, most spring programs begin early January, then yes, you could apply during this cycle. And say your first attempt, you were not successful, you could potentially try during the October cycle as well. A lot of times there's an overlap with the two application cycles and the timeline, which is why I encourage students to apply as early as possible.
Hello. If I were to study abroad in the summer of 2025, should I apply in October of 2024? Is that the correct cycle to apply?
That would be within the timeline. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a question about what counts as summer 24. So like outside of the Gilman scholarship, there was other scholarships that were summer 2024 and forward. Does the May term 2024, does that count as summer or not really?
So for UT purposes, May term counts as spring. But remember, Gilman is a national scholarship, so it goes based on time frame. So potentially if you're participating in a May term for this year, yes, you could apply during this March cycle. The only thing I caution students with that is that you might not find out until early May. So I encourage all to apply, but I wouldn't encourage you to rely on something with such a late disbursement. Sure. So a great resource is our website, and then I also recommend talk to a peer mentor, because many of which have participated in an education abroad program, and they can speak to their experience. And then also on the program page, there's a link to, if you want to book an appointment, if you know the specific program, with the program coordinator.
Just to highlight, the Gilman is a national scholarship, and that's a completely separate website. Currently, Global Assist has scholarships for summer, and LASSO will have all the scholarships moving forward after that. For spring programs, so someone asked about spring programs. While you can apply for Gilman now for spring, scholarships for our scholarships in LASSO, those typically will be put into that the semester before, so around August. And a really good place, you can bookmark this on our website, global.utexas.edu internship.gilman.edu/abroad. It's on all of our resources here in the back, so please grab those. There is a Get Started page, and it really just walks you through step by step how you can find a program, how you can think about finances, how you can find relevant credit to go abroad, et cetera, and then instructions to apply. So that's a really good place to go.
I plan on, as I mentioned earlier, I plan on going abroad next year for spring. Even if I haven't gotten or even applied, should I apply first to my study abroad program or to the scholarship, the Gilman Scholarship? Because I don't think it's going to be open right now.
Right. Yeah, you should go ahead and you can apply to the current Gilman cycle.
And just say my interest?
Say the program that you think you're going to apply for, that you intend to apply for.
Okay, thank you.
And then when the application opens for the program itself, which is going to be sometime in fall, early fall, then you'll go ahead and apply for that program.
And can we apply to multiple study abroad programs, like different places, just to see that we get on one?
No, the way that it works is you'll narrow it down to your single top choice, and then you can list a backup or a second choice.
We don't get into or your top one.
Yeah. And what's going to be critical is thinking about, hey, what do I want to achieve? What are my goals for the program? And then working with our advisors, our peer mentors, to find out which program would be a good fit based on your goals.
I'm just asking because since spring if I obtain the scholarship, since spring of 2025 is the last period of time I will have for this to use the scholarship. If I don't get into that specific program,
you work with Gilman to change the program.
Okay.
On that app, on the award. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And I also want to remind you that you have the UT for Me program, financial aid counselors who can also help you kind of figure out, like, how do I budget for studying abroad? Like, is this a possibility for me on top of scholarships and stuff like this? So keep that in mind that you have that resource as well. Any other questions?
I had a question about the International Education Fee Scholarship. Is that just for fall 2024?
So it runs every semester, but it's only open at certain times. So for example, summer 2024 is open right now, and fall 2024 is also open. But later in the semesters, like later in the fall, we'll open the spring version, and then we'll open the May term. So it's open for all semesters, just at different times, if that makes sense.
Thank you all for being here.